and admissions to the ED department actually drop during the month of December. I found that quite amazing until delving further and finding the reason why. It wasn't so much there were less depressed people in the month of December compared to the other 11 months of the year. It was a month where fewer people reached out for help. During December, people isolated themselves more. They withdrew more. They shut themselves off from the outside world, the outside festivities, the joy and the merriment, and they cried silent tears, alone, unloved, forgotten. It has become a time when acute hopelessness drives people to go alone and shut themselves off from the world. Perhaps it is such an isolating time because we have developed a culture and a belief that December and Christmas is for happy people. Think about our Christmas images. Think about our cards, our movies, our advertisements. Happy families roasting chestnuts on the open fire, singing carols in the park, sitting down to Christmas lunch with great Uncle Arthur and eccentric Aunt Mabel. We act and we live as if this is who Christmas is for. Happy families, happy people. And the tragedy behind that is the belief that if you aren't happy, Christmas isn't for you. Sometimes, for some, this can be the most saddest and isolating time of the year. A time of aloneness, a time of despondency, a time of lost hope. Losing hope means we lose faith. Faith that there is something and someone better. Faith that life can turn around. Faith that we can find joy in the meaning of living. Living without hope kills the spirit. It destroys dreams. It breaks heart. It loses life. And it's becoming a battle that is creeping across our world. As most families are sitting down to enjoy times of celebration, of laughter and togetherness, there are many more with cries that echo from hearts that are alone and afraid. I will be the first to put my hand up, and if you know me, you will nod in agreement, to say I absolutely love Christmas. I love the joy. Chelsea, behave. I love the festivity. I love the ceremony. I love the feeling of gratefulness and the blessing of family. Being caught up in all the excitement, I too have bought into the belief that Christmas is for happy people. And I wonder where we get that belief. Isaiah 7:14 says, "Behold, a virgin shall bear a son, and his name shall be Emmanuel." Emmanuel, God with us. God with us all. God with us happy, sad, lonely, joyful. God is with us all. Christmas is God's reminder we are not alone. Christmas is God's reminder there is a Saviour to meet every person and every need. The question to ponder today is, how do we change our culture and our belief about Christmas? And how do we respond to those who for Christmas is not a happy time? I'd like to look at two passages from the book of Mark in the New Testament that speaks about the hope of Christmas. Thanks. So I'm reading for the NIV and I'm starting in Mark 4 at verse 35. Mark 4 and verse 35. On the same day, when evening had come, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us cross over to the other side." Now when they had left the multitude, they took him, which is Jesus, along with them in the boat as he was. And other little boats were also with him, and a great windstorm arose. And the waves beat into the boat so that it was already filling. But he, Jesus, was at the stern, asleep on a pillow. And they woke him and they said to him, "Jesus, do you not care? We are perishing." Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the sea and said, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. Now, just to put this story in a bit of context, this day was a typical day in the life of Jesus. From morning to night, he had immersed himself in people. Verse 1 of this chapter actually tells us that there was a great multitude of people. Imagine, you are the focus of attention, and a crowd that would fill to capacity the MCG and beyond. They're pressing on you, they're touching you, they're demanding you, they're shouting at you. Imagine this was your entire day. So evening comes. Jesus says to his disciples, "Let's jump in a boat and go over to the other side of the river." And in his exhaustion, Jesus goes to the back of the boat and rests on a pillow. Now, before you think of nice, fluffy, duck feathery type things, a pillow was actually a wooden crate or a box. Sometimes it could have been a flat stone. Hardly a comfortable object for the Son of God to rest his weary head. Verse 37 says, "A great storm arose." Now we need to remember the disciples made their living as fishermen. This was their life. They were seasoned sailors. They had weathered many storms and no doubt survived having their boats beaten and broken by the ferocious waves. But this was not a little bit of rain and wind. This was a tsunami of waves and wind, so much so that these seasoned sailors were terrified and they feared for their life. And in their fear, in their terror, in their desperation, they cried out 5 words that echoed the hopelessness they felt. "Jesus, do you not care? Jesus, do you not care?" You know what both humbles and breaks my heart about this? This cry of hopelessness came from men who knew Jesus. It came from men who had spent 3 years sitting at his feet, hearing him teach, seeing him show love and compassion. It came from men who broke bread and prayed with Jesus. It came from men who witnessed miracles and wonders. "Jesus, do you not care?" It was a cry born of desperation and fear. Suddenly life was chaotic and out of control. They forgot all about the miracles of that morning, and uncertainty and lostness made them cry out in terror. "Jesus, Jesus, do you not care?" Do you know, there are saints here at New Life today crying that cry. There are saints today at the Epicentre crying that cry. There are saints at Echuca Community Church, at Church of Christ, and every gathering across our world. There are saints who are sitting in pews today crying that cry. "Jesus, do you not care?" They are saints who wear smiles. They are saints who slowly and silently stop coming to gatherings. They are saints who stand in crowds and feel lonely. They are saints who are drowning in the chaos and uncertainty of situations they are in. Can you hear them? Hidden in the laughter and the happiness, can you hear them? It's here. The cry is here. The seeds of discouragement and lost hope is here. Can you hear it? I think it may have been our second Christmas in New Guinea. It was a tough year for us. We'd had quite a few bouts of severe malaria. We were very sick, homesick and lonely. And our finances were very, very low. And due to delays in international postage, none of the packages that the kids would have received from Christmas for Family had come. I was feeling quite low. The week before Christmas, the mail truck came in, and again, there was no mail for us. I went outside and I sat under the stars and I wept. All I wanted was to give my kids a little gift for Christmas. We had no money to make a trip into Goroka, let alone to be able to buy presents. So I cried out to God, "Do you not care? We are sick. We are lonely. We have no money. God, do you not care?" On December 23rd, a random, unexpected truck made a trip from Goroka and stopped off at our house. On that truck was one package. It was addressed to Kyle and Erin. A beautiful missionary friend had been praying and asked God to put someone on her heart who she could bless. Our name came to her thoughts. There was a wooden train for Kyle and a little baby doll for Erin. Jesus, do you not care? I love the fact that Mark reports that Jesus rebuked the wind. He didn't rebuke his disciples. He rebuked the wind and the storm. But do you know what I love most about this? I love that Jesus, in his goodness and his grace, allows us, mere humans, to question the sovereignty of an almighty God. I don't know where life has you today. Like the disciples, our lives have been filled with doing life with Jesus and each other. But maybe the winds and storms of life are filling you with hopelessness. Maybe circumstances have caused questions and doubts. Maybe your joy, your peace are slowly fading away. Cry out to Jesus. The Christmas message continues in Mark chapter 10, and again I'm reading from the NIV at verses 46. Mark 10:46. And they came to Jericho, and he, which is Jesus, was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a large crowd. And a blind beggar named Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, was sitting by the road. When he heard it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Many were sternly rebuking him and telling him to be quiet. But he cried all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me." Again, Jesus with the crowd. They are shouting and they're escorting him out of the city. They have just passed the gates and are in the act of turning towards the Jerusalem road. A long line of beggars is sitting outside the gate, lifting their monotonous wail at the sound of passing footsteps. Bartimaeus is one of them. He asks a passerby, "What is the cause of all this bustle?" And he is told, "Jesus of Nazareth is here." The name awakens something in him. He has heard of this man Jesus. He has heard of miracles and wonders. Suddenly he thinks to himself, what if it's true? What if all I have heard about Jesus is true? What if he can offer me hope? What have I to lose? And so with all the despair and the hopelessness he feels in his heart, he cries, "Son of David, have mercy on me. I am blind. I am forgotten. I am unloved. I am hopeless." But the noise, the chatter, the laughter, it's deafening. Sitting on the ground, Bartimaeus' cry is smothered in the stamping of feet, and his throat fills with the dust. So he cries all the louder, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." At last, those closest to him hear him. And then they tell Bartimaeus to be quiet. Maybe they prod him with their sticks. Maybe they kick him with their feet, but their message is clear. There is no hope for the likes of you. "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And with all the hopelessness in his heart, that was the cry that stopped the Son of God. Can you hear the world crying? Or have we become part of the noisy crowd, drowning out the message of hope? Have our songs of elves and snowflakes drowned out the powerful message of, "O holy night, fall on your knees and hear the angels' voices"? Have our flashing lights and red-nosed reindeers hidden the manger and the star? Has the birth of a babe in the manger given way to celebrating the man in red? Please do not misunderstand me. I love Christmas. I love the fun and the festivity. There is no judgment here. What I'm asking is, are we letting the fun and the festivity drown out the message of hope that we sing of in our carols? The message of love the manger brings, the message of faith the star reflects. Because in the midst of all that fun and festivity, there is a Bartimaeus wondering, this story, could it be true? There are those who are crying and trying to be heard above the noise and the merriment of the crowd. "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And they're being told, "Be quiet. Go away. There is no hope for you here." And like Bartimaeus, their worth, their value, their existence is reduced to hopelessness. "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." I don't know if this is where life has you today. You have heard of this man Jesus and you wonder, can it be true? Maybe it's your neighbour. Maybe it's your friend. Maybe it's your family member. Listen to them. They are crying. They are waiting and crying for someone to show them hope, to show them love, to lead them to a Saviour. Every day we turn on the news, we hear another story, another life touched by pain, another fatality, another terrible diagnosis, another family torn apart, and they cry. Every day we are in contact with a hurting world, and they cry. Do we hear them? One exceptional lady does. Watching the Melbourne carols by candlelight had been, I say had, been a tradition for a family, our family. In fact, we have been able to go and attend 3 or 4 times over the years. Now I really struggle to watch and enjoy it, to see the message of Jesus drowned and reduced to nothing. And on this iconic night of the year, when thousands of people tune in to enjoy Christmas Eve, the message that comes through is this: Christmas is for happy people. If you are not happy, Christmas is not for you. We now have the TV on mute and we wait. We wait for the one person who will raise her voice above the deafening crowds and will bring the message of hope to those who are crying. Last year, Channel 9 asked Sylvie Palladino to not give a Christmas message during her songs. She refused. And she stood on that stage and she spoke of her faith in Jesus, the hope he offers, the love that was born on Christmas morning. Sylvie hears the world crying and she rises above the noise of the crowd to bring people to the Saviour. Do we hear them? This cultural belief that December and Christmas is a time for happy people is a belief we have backwards, and it only serves to magnify hopelessness more. So can I push back a little bit on that and say December and Christmas is a time for those who are crying, for those who have lost hope and have lost their way. Christmas is for you. For in December, the Saviour of the world comes to earth and the seed of hope is born. Christmas is the greatest love story of hope, especially to those who need a rescue. Jesus came for those who have lost all they own in the bushfires. He came for the children whose parents don't love them. He came for those alone. He came for those whose dreams keep failing. He came for those whose marriages are crumbling, for those families that are no longer speaking. Jesus came for the refugees who have no country and no home. Jesus came for those whose lives have been wrecked by sickness. Jesus came for those who are crying out for hope. Christmas is really about the gospel of grace and hope for the world. Because all that Christ has done on the cross, the manger becomes the most hopeful place in a universe darkened by hopelessness. And the irony of ironies is this: Christmas is for those who enjoy it the least. Christmas is the whisper that something better is here. Hope has come. So this Christmas season, what is our response? How do we bring the miracle, the hope, the joy of Christmas to those who are crying? We need to hear. At some point in life, there will be a cry in the soul of humanity. Whether it's the cry of saints who have lost their way, whether it's the cry of sinners trying to find theirs, humanity has a cry. Humanity have hearts that hurt. Humanity wants hope. Humanity needs Christmas. To hear their cry, we need to be still, to stop. To stop. Close your eyes for a moment. Can you hear them? It's the cry of our pastors. It's the cry of our parents. It's the cry of our youth. It's the cries of the lonely. It's the cries of the nation. It's the cries of the world. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? We need to listen. Listening requires sacrifice on our part. Engaging with people, learning to pay attention to what isn't being said, providing a safe place for those who are vulnerable and afraid. Jesus listened. He heard the cry and he listened to the why. To the disciples he said, "Why are you afraid?" To Bartimaeus he said, "What do you need?" Listening is not easy to do when we are busy. But can I tell you now, it is an honour to sit and listen to others sharing their heart. You are invited in to a personal and a sacred space. You are invited to hear authenticity, honesty, rawness, reality, and to speak words of hope and grace into that space is truly a precious gift. We need to be ready. Listening opens doors to share hope. For our church family, it's reminding them of the hope that we have in Jesus. For those who are searching, it's pointing them to the one who is the hope. The hope of Christmas is Emmanuel, God with us. It's a message of hope restored, of hope found, of hearts healed, of tears dried. The challenge to us this season, can we open our hearts to hear the cries, to listen and be ready to offer the hope the babe in the manger brings? In the darkest of nights, the light of hope was born, bringing peace, joy and love. Love has come. Love knows you by name. The hope of the world is here. As we close out today, I just hope you enjoy this song by Casting Crowns.